Welcome back to another episode of NFL News on the Boomer Bust channel. I'm your host, Terry, and today talking about a couple things. Let's start off with Tim Tebow. So, Tim Tebow signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars as a tight end, as they say. We really don't know at all, but some people have speculated that he's going to be more of an H-back. Some people think he's going to be a wildcat quarterback, all these different things. But that's I would say, small part of the conversation. A larger part of the conversation has to do with the fact that Tim Tebow has not played football in a long time, as he pursued a MLB career that he didn't quite reach, but he came back and now he felt that he, I guess, had something to show and some left in the tank, and Urban Meyer gave him a shot and they signed him. And so a lot of people have been upset. People were upset that he even got a workout. And now that he's got signed, it's only gotten worse. And so I would say for me personally, I didn't really care too much when I first heard about, the tryout and everything. And I mean, Tebow's never played tight end. And we know how it worked out with him as a quarterback in the NFL. We know how it worked out with him in baseball. It's like, okay, whatever. To me, honestly, it was just like a headline type thing from Urban Meyer, which has kind of, I wouldn't say it's been their thing, but it's been a little bit of that in Jacksonville. Not always good headlines, but it's been a little bit of headline news since he got there. And so I thought this was just another headline move. Like, okay, we signed Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow used to play with Urban Meyer, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, I don't care. But then a lot of people were upset and about the fact that he got this opportunity when he didn't deserve one. And so I started to listen to the arguments on that. Now, I would say at the end of the day, I'm still pretty much where I was before. I'm not super moved by it, but essentially a lot of people were upset that Tim Tebow pretty much was having a what am I want to say, a live version, a very tangible situation of white privilege, and people were not happy about it. Now, to me, it's not as true as some people try to say, because this idea of nepotism in football, and I've talked about this before, that's what it is on every single level and in a lot of places. And we're not talking about, to me, I think there's levels to nepotism. You know what I'm saying? There's a head coach bringing in their son to be a coordinator who has never coached football before. There's that. And then, there's, okay, I had a good relationship with this player, I want to bring him in. I think that obviously they're both nepotism, but there's different levels to it. But when you're talking about this idea of nepotism and, some people call it the good old boy network, which is not exactly correct. But when you have this idea, what tends to happen is people get the people that look like them when you're talking about bringing in people you're comfortable with. Now, that's not always the case. It's many, many, many examples of minority coaches bringing in white coaches bringing in minority coaches. There's a lot of that. But we know overwhelmingly is going to be one type of way. And so because that's a fact, and because Tim Tebow is not like, Urban Meyer brought in every white player he ever coached. No. Obviously, he brought in Tim Tebow, who they have a very different and special relationship. And so, it didn't faze me. It was just like, okay. And coaches do that all the time. Like, people think this is like Madden when it comes to free agent or something. It's not. Like, a lot of times, whether it's big name free agents or small, or whether it's a cut, it's all about relationships. It's about which coach you might know that could stand up for you, or a player that says, hey, yo, this guy got cut. I'm telling you, pick him up, coach. You won't regret it. Like, it's a lot of different ways that plays out. And so that part to me is not really shocking. But again, people feeling that this is a slap in the face to all the people that want an opportunity and they don't get to have one. And they either perform well in college or they are, a tight end or whatever, that they're part of that craft. They can't get a tryout, but Tim Tebow gets a contract. He hasn't played in years and he's never played this position. So I think, to me, overall, it's just bad timing, to be honest with you. Obviously, we're in a state of, I think, I wouldn't say racial consciousness. I mean, this stuff's been around and people have had access to it. I think we're just in a state of racial vocalization, and people aren't standing by and just letting it happen. So there's that. That's been going on for the last year or so. But then you're coming off a draft where no HBCU players were drafted. A lot of people raised their eyebrow at that. And then, there's always the continuous talk about coaching trees not being diverse. So I just think it was bad timing, where people, like, that move had a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth. And I think any other time it just kind of would have been like, oh, whatever. His form, this first time in the NFL, he goes and get one of his old college players that he's familiar with. And honestly, it wouldn't even been that big if Tim Tebow was a current player. But the fact, again, that he hasn't been around in the game for years, and to come in at 32 to come do this, a lot of people raise their eyebrow at that, and they don't think it's fair. And, a lot of people are going to try to dismiss it, I think, on a very individual basis. Like, oh, they didn't, like, some people bring up Kaepernick. He didn't take Kaepernick's spot. Kaepernick don't play tight end. Like, that's not really the point, more so than the larger conversation and the message that people feel it sends. Like, to me, not that big of a deal, but with some people, it's like, this is a symptom. This is an example of a larger problem of nepotism and privilege that other people don't get to enjoy. So I'm not going to let Tim Tebow walk in and, get it without making sure we point it out for what it is. So there's that. Aaron Rodgers. Oh my God. This has been such an annoying story to follow and watch. I talked about it before. My feelings have not changed, but it's been going on now more because of all the drama. Now, at the end of the day, we do know more information, but at the end of the day, this seems to boil down. Again, if you watch Aaron do stuff outside of the Packers interviews, if you watch the people that he's close with, if you read the stuff he said, all that, if you put it all together, and again, I don't know Aaron, but from the things he's said, it seems as if this stems from the fact, I would say, number one, it stems from the fact that he doesn't have long-term security. And that's always going to be an issue in the NFL. No matter how things are going, no matter, whatever. And you talk about players, these fat contracts, or, oh my God, they have $40 million due in 2 years. Like, that stuff don't matter when it's voidable. Like, when you're at a point where you could get out of the contract, all that other stuff don't matter. And so some people, like Aaron's got a few more years, but they can make a break after next year. And so Aaron wants long-term stability, which is fine, understandable. The second part that I would argue is not as big of a deal if Aaron had like a 10-year contract right now. And that's his ability to have a say in things. And we know quarterbacks have been doing that this offseason. They have been talking about how they feel they need to have decision-making power. And so Aaron's talked in the past and recently this year, during the year, about he feels like he should have not roster control, but he should be consulted on roster moves and cuts. And that there's players in the past. Now we've starting to hear stories, but he said this before during the year. People weren't even paying attention. He said there's players in the past that they cut that he thought they shouldn't have cut. And then there's coaches that they got rid of that he thought they shouldn't have got rid of. And then, the list goes on. He feels like he's at a point in his career of what he's done that he, out of respect, deserves that, but also he knows what he's talking about. That's what he feels like. And so, we got other players saying they probably want a hand in who the coach is. We know quarterbacks want to have a hand in what plays are called and all that. And so those are the two main issues. Now, people trying to make this into something else with this Jordan Love situation and with the draft, the draft in general. Now, look, Aaron Rodgers has said, people have said that he's cool with Jordan Love. He's not really taking the Brett Favre route. He's okay with them having a quarterback. What he was upset about, again, allegedly, is the fact that you didn't even have the respect to tell him or talk to him about it. And I do think it would have went differently. Some people are like, why would it change anything if they talked to him about it the week before, 2 days before? I mean, it's the respect thing. We all know that. I mean, we all know that innately, but some reason when it comes to this conversation, people act like that don't matter. In your job and anything else, people want to be recognized. They want to be respected. They want to be compensated. Like, there's so many studies out there in the workplace that the being paid, like the money is not the biggest motivation. The biggest motivation of being happy and fulfilled is that you have the recognition, that they're giving you that respect. And so, yes, he wants the money and the big contract, but he wants to feel respected. And so you got people talking about, oh, they called Tom Brady, said, hey, they didn't ask Tom Brady, but they said, hey, we're about to pick a quarterback. They told Andy Dalton, they said, okay. So people was just like, whoa, you couldn't just tell me. So there's that. But then there's the other thing, and again, he's talked again, like he works with Jordan Love. He understand that, I don't think he pulled a Tom Brady, even though I don't think Tom Brady was like, I just don't want anybody around here. Tom Brady, from what some people say, we don't know, he knew that, or at least he felt he knew that Bill Belichick was trying to move on from him. And so whether that's true or not, whether that's ego, whether he doubted Tom's talent, at that moment, he knew he was trying to move on to him to Jimmy G. And Tom said, I can't be here if that's the case. Y'all need to make a choice. And so I think it was kind of like, hey, if you want to go with Jimmy G, then let me go. And they chose Tom over Jimmy G. Cool, whatever. I don't think Aaron is pulling that. I think Aaron is fine. He understands the quarterback, that the team has to get a new quarterback he's going to mentor. Again, I think it was just the way it went down. Nothing against Jordan Love himself. So, okay, so there's that. Now, everybody's talking about this draft crap, which it makes my head hurt. You didn't have any receivers in the first round. You never had a first round receiver. I do not care. I don't care if Devontae Adams was the number 1 overall pick or undrafted free agent. If I have a receiver as good as he is, then I have a receiver as good as he is. Oh my God, they never got a first round pick receiver. It's so stupid to me. If it was Tom Brady, a situation with Tom Brady where it just seemed like he was never, outside of Moss, really playing with a top-notch receiver. I ain't talking about a dependable receiver like an Edelman or a Welkler or I forgot his other Amendola at one point. I ain't talking about a dependable receiver that can, get stuff done. I'm talking about a prolific receiver. if it was like that where Aaron just never had any real talent at receiver, I can understand. But that's not the case. Not only did he have really good receivers with Greg Jennings, I think he caught the back end of Donald Driver's career, but you had Greg Jennings, you had Jordy Nelson that was tearing it up for a minute. You had Randall Cobb, and then you got Devontae Adams, who is top 5 receiver probably in the league. And so to sit here and cry because he did, I mean, I'm not saying him, I'm just saying people in this conversation, to make it into they never got a first round receiver, that to me is such a weak and lazy argument, because it's not like they didn't have good players. Even this past year, Devontae was healthy, obviously, but the other people they put up, they are productive as well. And Aaron is that good where he can make them look a little better. But again, I think you're at a point where you're able to do what you got to do. And so for them to build this team, now the defense hasn't been as prolific as they would be on paper. But to have Jair Alexander, one of the best young corners, Kenny Clark, one of the best young interior linemen, to put that money in the Smith brothers on the edge, you let Blake go, but you go out and get Adrian Amos, who has been rock solid, to get Darnell Savage. Like, you build that defense to a point where the talent you felt could definitely do what you needed it to. To find a Jamal Williams who really contributed, to find a Aaron Jones who you end up keeping and has been really great, to put together to have David Bakhtiari, one of the best left tackles, to have Balaga at one point, to really put together a unit. You lost Corey Linsley, but you had him, to put together so much talent and to act like they just left him out there to die is just so idiotic and far from the truth. It's just so annoying when I hear all these talking heads and all these people in the comments saying that the first round receiver, disrespect, you didn't care. You really think the Packers were putting all their resources into sabotaging Aaron Rodgers or not supporting him? How does that help the Packers? And so, again, I just, there's the real side of things, or the more likely side of things, I should say, where there's ego involved on both sides and there's money involved. And then there's the more ridiculous stuff about, Jordan Love, that was the last straw. They never got the first round receiver. They traded up to get Jordan Love. He's mad they drafted his replacement. Everybody's going to get replaced. You ain't going to play forever. He was Brett Favre's replacement. He know how that go. And so it's just, and it's gotten ugly. I think it is a part that's a little petty with this whole leaking of information. But here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to come out and say any of this. What does he have to gain? So obviously the Packers make statements, we're committed to Aaron, that don't really mean much just because you say it. But Aaron's got nothing to gain to come out and be like, no, I don't like this GM, or no, I don't like this, or no, he really got nothing to gain from that. And I've said this before, like when these players be like, I want out of here. You just hurt your own trade market. It's going to be harder for them to trade you because they're not going to get as good of a deal. But still, my point is he's not going to come out and say any of this, but so it's going to continue to be more like leaks and all that, but it's just petty. It's become real petty. People act like it is over with. Aaron is gone. Excuse me. I think John Kuhn was the first one to come out and say, like, nah, I don't think it's completely over. They can fix this. And I tend to believe that too. I tend to believe Aaron is posturing. He wants to get some things that he wants. But I think he would fully stay if he was able to put that together. So that's my thoughts. But anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you think about these stories. Tebow, Aaron Rodgers. Share around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. and thank you for listening.